what is the Bible literally teaching about the word day?
Well, John, it's a delight to be with you and also to talk to your mother, too. But it is a delight to revise your question a little bit. I think it should be, what are the meanings of the word day? I'm the one that generally argues there's only one meaning to a word as an author uses it. But in this particular context, of course, in Genesis, he dares to use the word in at least 3, maybe 4 different ways. The word day, yom, in the Hebrew appears over 500 times in the King James Bible. And according to the Englishman's Hebrew Concordance, there are over 58 different ways that it's handled. That doesn't mean it's arbitrary. It means context is king. And therefore, I think that needs to be taken into account. So day in verse 5 is daylight. Day in the 4th day is when God creates 24-hour days. In Genesis 2:4, there it uses it in a prepositional clause in the day that the Lord God created and sums up the whole creative activity, which would be like our way of saying in the day of so-and-so's presidency or in the day of Abraham Lincoln. So the answer is you must hold carefully to the context.
Okay, so why do you think that God is saying then, or teaching us, that it's a long period of time? You got 3 options there.
Yeah, I think that each one of them has to be taken very carefully. The early church fathers and the medieval fathers were very, very careful on this point, in which it was regarded as a longer period of time, but always for different reasons. There was, in Augustine's, or Augustine, depending on your level of sophistication, but in Augustine or Augustine's way of saying it, he said we had a day 1, a day 2, and a day 3 before we had any 24-hour days created. And therefore, you need to be very careful that there were no people here, so it's not a human perspective at that point, it's a divine perspective. After all, we have astronauts going round and round the globe, and from their perspective, they see a number of sunrises and sunsets, evening and morning, evening and morning, evening and morning, evening and morning. Now, God is a little bit further out, I would suspect, than our solar system. Therefore, that needs to be taken into account, too. It seems that that wasn't the point on which the biblical text was anxious to make its real point. Where the biblical text wanted to come down was, it was God who created the whole thing. In the beginning, boom, God. He made the whole thing. So the argument that really needs to be joined with modern society is there an absolute beginning or is it relative? And this biblical text says, look, it's absolute. There was nothing and except God, and he made, he created. So